Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the League of Inches podcast. Round 17 Supercoach show. Apologies about the lateness. We are 24 hours behind. I couldn't jump on last night and get the show done. The boys were very happy to go ahead, get it done. They were started so strong. They were recording 15 minutes into the podcast. Jesse had a blackout. So nothing we could do about that. Completely cut everything off. To be fair, just to go right behind the curtain now, Trav, I watched it back last night, started to go by himself, and then the stream just cut. So trooper that Trav did try and just continue on and march forward for you guys. Unfortunately, couldn't happen. Now, for those watching the live stream that just happened, we're obviously doing it on a Wednesday night after our live show, so it's now 9:40 at night. So it is a late one for us. So apologies for any little mistakes we may make. There may be a bit of fatigue, but we want to get you out some content this week. So hopefully you all appreciate it. Smash that like button, follow, all that sort of jazz just to help us out. Shout out to Caxton Street Brewing Company, our major sponsor for the show, for the page as well. And then obviously to Con at Freedom Finance as well. His logo, I've just realized he's covered up now by Trav, but we all know Con at them by now. Very great job. Great time of year to be checking your finances out as well. So please make sure you give Con and Freedom Finance a call. Jesse, talk to us, mate. You started well last night. Your hosting was brilliant, and it just wasn't to be. The Supercoach gods said no.
Yeah, they weren't having it. Copped a blackout. Dishwasher's a casualty now, unfortunately. So, unplanned things that happen as always, but it is what it is. And then today I've just been crook. I've been so crook. It was a knock on from last night, I reckon. Yeah, we're rolling into it. It was going well, and wasn't to be. But we're here now, 9:40. Let's just get it done and get the people the goods. So
what a 24 hours it's been. Trav, we're backing up. We're doing the double header tonight after a fantastic live show again. Shout out to everyone that was part of that. If you haven't yet, you don't know about it. Just for those Supercoach people that do like the NRL side of it, YouTube, Facebook, 8:00 every Wednesday night. Come along and have a say in everything happening around the game for that week. But Trav, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm a little bit annoyed. I thought I had an hour of power yesterday, where it's the shine was shone lightly onto me very brightly onto me, and I got stuffed by the internet. Thanks, guys.
Sorry, mate.
I know everyone, although it really did. To be fair, I was actually really shocked. I was like a deer in headlights for about a minute there, waiting for Jesse to come back, and I was like, I think I'm gonna. Am I doing this yet? I am doing this. Bang, off I went. I just started chatting, and then it dropped out. I'm like, damn it!
I would have been so interested in seeing how you'd keep a whole Supercoach pod show going solo, like at least an hour worth of just Trav.
I'll make it work. I'll make it work.
That'd be the toughest of carries. And to be fair, I almost want to upload it because it's actually Comedy Central. Like, it's awesome watching that bit where you go, Jesse, and watching Trav's face, and then he's literally there for like 20 seconds just going, what do I do? Is he coming back? Oh, no. And then he starts. Guys, I want to get it out to you, but we'll see. We'll see if a few ask for it, and I'll see.
No. It's happening again.
It was hilarious. But let's talk about the weekend that was.
Let's go. I'll start. I got 1,292, season rank of 10,654, and unfortunately that 1,292 made me drop 933 ranks. To be fair, I really thought that was a decent score. I thought anything from about 1,250 up to 1,300 was a bit above par. I dropped 933. A total score of 19,745, and my trades that I did last week was, what did I do, Joel? Jesse, I brought in Hiroti to Stewart, and I brought in Fermor for Ola Kawatu. And I'm happy with those trades. I think Stewart will just nuff out. I've got 6 decent guys in my center wings now. I'm loaded in the 2RF. The Ola trade was not one I wanted to make, but I'm pretty happy with that. Fermor got 59. It's not a huge score, but it's not a bad score either. And it was 59 in basically base. So, a little bit of attacking power will be nice for stats. I thought that was good. And then my little story on this is I VC'd Herbie, thought godsend. I thought genius. I've got Herbie. He's got 106. There's going to be some big updates. I watched that game. He should have updated more than that. Jesse, I think, can confirm what he thought as well, that Herbie should have updated more. And I actually think he lost a point, didn't he? It was like 170. He lost a point. There was no updates. He got downdated to 106. But the fact is that I thought 106, with the way captains have been going, I'm going to a no-brainer to loop this. So I looped him. I dropped Aiken. And unfortunately, Campbell gets knocked out, gets an 8. And I forgot that I have Goz in the 6th spot of my 2RF, who got 17. Aiken drops out. Goz comes in as my AE, gives me a 17. That 38-point difference. So if I didn't loop, because I had the captain on Teddy, and that was going to stay, that would have been what I would have done. If I hadn't have looped, I would have had an extra 38 points, and I actually would have risen 150 ranks from where I was at 9,700 last week. I would have been sitting around I think I would have been around 9,500 is what I worked out. I took a photo of it and all, just with that extra 38 points. So it's basically a 1,100 rank turnaround for one move, which wasn't a bad move, to be fair. Farnworth loot, but yeah, there's a little story about that. What it is it's just so congested, like in that range of that average of around 7,000 up to 20k. It's literally only a couple of 100 points. It's just so congested. So it is one move that stops you from going anywhere.
It's rough. Yeah, the Herbie down date. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was thought, certainly, even after the game, I was thinking if I had the loop on him, and I did initially, I changed it to Hughes before the kickoff there from my side, but I was like, surely it's a 120 out of Herbie this week, comfortably. And then it's one of those rare instances where the flex actually comes in to do what the flex is supposed to do, to cover an early HIA. But yeah, the Goz flip was just super unfortunate. But I got 1328 this week, and I was certain 1328 was going to see some green, and I ended up dropping 157 spots. So I had a round rank of 22,000. I was baffled with that because I wasn't seeing many big scores past 1350, give or take a couple here and there. But to be 22,000 spots behind with a 1328, I thought it was all right. I won 5 out of 6 of my head-to-heads too, so I sort of had this false sense that I'd be in the clear. But yeah, a bit of a drop. Overall rank now is 2,618. I brought in the same. I did Hiroti to Jed last week to free up the coin, and then I traded Bronson Garlic out. He made some coin, and I flipped him to Jerome Hughes and put Sand and Smith into my first hooker slot, and he scored really well. So I was like, well, that worked out quite well. But yeah, Hughes, 35 points after 6 minutes, and then proceeded to do next to nothing for the rest of the game. Wasn't ideal, but I wasn't, the only one that brought him in this week. So still promising, but yeah, we'll get into the sides at the moment, but hookerless as far as it stands, and no plans on changing. So yeah, it was a funny week for Supercoach last round, wasn't it?
Yes, it certainly was. It certainly was. So I got a 1352. So top of the pops once more, which I'm just very much not feeling. I'm not used to this. I'm really not. So I actually went up 73 spots. So I'm now 1,857 is my rank. Is this where like you're at with the big dogs? Like you're only moved by this sort of little margin now. Like, no, I'm used to just moving like by 1,000 or 2, and then I'm going now to 70 odd, and I'm thinking, yes, sweet, I'm moving. So let's see what I can do.
As far as the rankings go, if you looked into it, first place overall 21,215.
How many points is that from you, Joel?
They almost got 1,000 on me. Yeah, I'm on 20,235.
He's 1,800 ranks in front of you.
Yeah, that's so crazy. First place is over 1,000 away from 1.8 essentially. Yeah. But where you go 1,000 points from where we are at the moment, we're back down in probably 30,000, 40,000. So The top pack is, truly running away at the moment. 1,000-point swing for the top, even a couple hundred. It's just nuts.
They're
Like
gone.
it's
They're gone.
truly, they're truly gone. So, you might get close, and they might be, there's still 12 weeks left. A lot can change in that period of time, but actually no, 10 weeks. We're 17 now,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's getting to that point. There's not many differences in teams at the moment, so coming up with 1,000 points is it's going to be very hard to do. So
Yeah.
props to him. Got away early.
My trades last week, I completely forget what one of my trades were. I know the second one I did actually changed. So I was the one that I feel like that started this Stewart thing, and I was so keen on getting him. I ended up switching before Friday, I think it was, and I didn't end up getting Stewart. I actually ended up trading Cleary out for Hughes. I just felt Hughes over the next couple of weeks. Decided Cleary, see you later. So I did that change. Again, I was laughing when Hughes scored that early try. I'm like, we're on here. This is
So
this
was
is
Jesse
awesome.
when he messaged me.
And then it just
trust me.
I don't know, he fell asleep. He went and had a sleep for 60 minutes. So thanks, Jerome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a play for the short term. I am looking at getting Cleary back still, just about timing and things like that. So with little trades left, there's a big play. But again, I've done what I feel like in my gut has worked the last 6 or so weeks. That was a gut play once again. And for now, I feel like it has worked slightly, but we'll see what happens.
Well, I got you
See what
60
happens.
extra points.
Yeah, it is what it is. All right. Because we are doing a bit of a shortened episode, we're not going to do the TLT in-depth stuff tonight. We are going to do, I guess, our predicament of the week, and that is the hooker predicament. Jesse mentioned it a bit before. I'm in the same boat. I'm got the double Smiths, and for now, no thought behind changing that at this present time. I'm just going to take the hit, do the AE, things like that. So let's talk a bit more about it. I know Trav's not in the same boat. He's lucky he has a playing hooker this week. But Jesse, I'll let you open it up. Talk to us. What's happening with this predicament, and maybe explain how it can potentially work where you might get away with not playing a hooker this week.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people doing the Smith-Smith combo. I only actually got brought back into the Smith-Smith double from last week when I brought him out of my halfback situation. So,
Welcome.
to be fair, I was running Garlic and Riley Smith for a while, and Garlic was just a nowhere player anyway. He made 150 odd K, and the whole intention was to move him. So the Smith-Smith double, um, realistically, we're going to get Santa back next week, and then we're probably a week or two away from Sam Walker coming back. So there's, a bit of borrowed time on him, and his knee injury looks like it was minor to nothing. So I don't think we'll lose him. But as far as it goes this round, essentially it's a free loop. And even looking forward on the hooker situation, depending on what your team looks like and your AE situation and who you're going to get at the end of the day, because you will still get a score, and at least you'll get yourself an opportunity to loop someone in. I'll use an example of last week with Trav, where he had Jaden Campbell go out, flexed out on a 10-point, but then Goz came into play. So if you get unlucky with a situation like that, where your AE will come in and then flex out when there is actually a HIA, it's not going to work out for you anyway, which is probably where you want yourself to have a hooker. But the hookers have been a bit funny this year, and I wouldn't be rushing to get one in this week just to cover a hole that you'll get an AE for anyway. So, if it's not a Grant who looks good at the moment, Connor Watson's on a bye, there's just not anyone else that I really want for the run home, and I just don't think you should be really ripping it down to get a score for this week. My AE options for this week going into it are Zach Hosking, Matt Burton, Jackson Purdue, Hubner, and Jed Stewart. So realistically, I'm expecting to get a
30
score from
at least,
Jed.
like
Yeah,
30,
Jed or a Hubner.
35.
If nothing happens, we saw Jed get a try last week, score 45. So without that, it's quite concerning, but he was never a play for me. He will always be the guy to flex out if nothing happens. But, to be fair, the Raiders run looks good. So on that situation there, I'm thinking like I'll get a 30 or a 40, which will probably flex out anyway. So it doesn't matter. Like it really doesn't matter too much at all. If you've got one or two players this week, or even just one on your bench as a non-player in reserve, you're going to get that guy anyway. And if his score is like a Hubner's 40, look, it's not that bad. You can live with it. Realistically, your hooker's going to score 50 or 60 if they're decent. it's 20 points, and chances are he's out anyway. So I'd just let it ride. Seriously, just let it ride for the week. It's not that big a deal. Gives you a week to wait on him as well. Still, Sandon Smith is such a good play. Really, like, he's such a good play. It's just going to be so strange to see him not starting when Sam Walker's back in. But I'm happy to just sit and wait and see how it goes. And if Riley Smith is the guy, he's out for 2 weeks, so you'll get Sandon next week, and then you'll get Riley the week after, and then just make a move and drop one out, run something. But it's not a position where I'd be looking to really make too many changes when there's big upside stuff going at the moment elsewhere.
I'm in the same boat as you, so I'll just quickly say something before Trav goes, who's in a little bit of a different boat from us. I am basically doing the same thing. My 2 non-playing players at the moment are Nakora and Hosking. So I've only got 2. So I'm pretty happy with getting the score of one of those. I feel that's put me in good stead. The look at the loop as well, which is quite handy, I feel like, for this round. There's a couple of nice matchups, but there's so many VC and C options this week where that could be a big factor in ranks and stuff like that, getting the right one there. I've heard a few people mention the Grant play. I'm just not keen to go him early before Origin Game 3. Like, it's going to be a huge game. The intensity is going to be up another level. Grant has gone back-to-back playing 80-minute games. Actually, last week went into over golden points, so he played more minutes there. He's probably bound to get a rest maybe at some point as well after that Game 3, or you don't know what's going to happen there. So I just don't want to get him for this week's play and then be stung for another 2 more weeks after that. Like, it just feels a bit silly to do so this week. Even though I get he's a gun and I will want him at some point, I just don't think this week is the time to make that play. So I think I'm in the same boat. I've done 2 trades already this week, and that does not consist of a hooker in any part of that, and I haven't looked at it once. So happy to let it ride. Trav?
So I disagree. Now, and to be fair, I'm in a different position. I have Starling this week, and so my hooker plan of having Starling has worked really well for this year, and I'm very happy with that. And come round 19, I'll be trading Starling when he doesn't play, and then has another buy. So Starling, that's my plan there, and I'll be getting one of the gun hookers, preferably a Harry Grant, to finish the year out if he plays against the Knights on that Saturday Arvo at 3:00. So that'll be interesting to see. And I actually think he does, because we are in a position at the Storm. Sorry, and I say we, but the Storm are in a position where they have to win games. They want top 2. It's a tightly contested top 4 at the moment. They need to play him. So I think what will happen is he plays and probably plays 50, 60 minutes, I think, and I still think you'll get a 50, 60 point out of him. So for me, I actually disagree with you and think that if you're going to get Harry Grant, I think most people can ride out next week, because next week is a major buy. So there's only 13 players. So you're more than happy to not have Harry Grant next week, because you're only going to have to field 13 guys. And most of us should be in a pretty good position. I've looked at mine. I have 17 players. Granted, one of them is Goz, so that's 16. And one of them is Stewart, so that drops me to 15. So that still gives me 15 guys for round 18 next week. But so we should all be pretty happy next week for our numbers. So I Harry Grant with a break even of 36 up against the Sharks at home, I think is a great buy this week at 586. Deal with it next week and hope to God that he plays 19, which I think he does. And then you've got your dude for the rest of the year, because the Storm have no more buys, and that's your guy. So, I think if you can and you've got trades to do it and you want to go it, I think now's a really good time to do it. I think Sandon Smith to Harry Grant is a really easy trade. It's not costing you much. What is it? How much is Sandon Smith? It's 80K. It's going to cost you 80 grand. I think that's a really good trade. I think you're getting in early on the hope that Sandon Smith plays next week. Now, the scans revealed that he's got bone bruising. They reckon he's going to play 18, but he still may not. So, I err on the bit of side of caution here, but I'd be getting a guy who's going to be scoring a decent score, I predict, this week, and having him there for the rest of the year. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, if you've got the coin to make the trade and you've got the trade to do it, 100%. If I had I've got 13k after the one trade that I've done this week, and I have no means to make anything else happen, unfortunately, with who I've got, who I want to trade, and who I actually can afford at the moment. But if I had the money, I would, because you're not going to get him cheaper, realistically. He's going to go up. He'll have the break. He'll have the rest. He'll come back. Good chance he just runs home with it. And even still, he was cheaper too. You know what I mean? And he's had a couple of really good weeks. So yeah, if you can do it, by all means, 100%, get yourself a legitimate score and give yourself a chance to have an actual flex if you need one. Um, Definitely. But yeah, as far as I'm looking, I've got other trades in mind. It does take up my entire kitty, and then I'm still a man down. So I've worked out other ways to do it, but yeah, it'll be something I just have to cross probably in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, I can't knock a trade in for a hooker, especially him.
Quick
Even with
question
the
about that.
yeah,
How many Storm players are too many? Because I think if people
Doesn't
get Green
matter.
in this week,
There's no buy. They don't have another buy, so it doesn't matter.
look,
so
realistically,
you
man.
think people? I'm just asking because there might be some
Yeah.
out there asking you. They shoot the messenger, but Happy, Munster, Hughes,
Katoa,
Grant.
Grant,
Yeah.
and all of
That's
them will,
were
and
you
all of
saying
them
that's
average.
okay or
All of them average above 60 easy. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. It makes
No,
no difference. And now that question is a question, and it's a great question. Earlier in the year, when buys are about to come up, when Origin's going to be played, all of that sort of stuff. It's like the same. It's kind of similar to the question of how many nights was too many when we all had 6 of them, knowing that they were going to play all the
Hey, don't put
Origin
me in that.
until 18. So and then we knew that over the course of Origin we had to start trading a couple of them out before 18 so that we could deal with not having all of these guys. The difference being is that the Storm play out, and they will have to play out if they're going to lock a top 2 spot. So I don't think it makes any difference. And to be fair, they all score and
yeah.
will all score above 60 on an average throughout the year.
Yeah, and 3 out of actually, you can make it 4 out of 5 of them are the best in their respective positions,
Yep.
essentially. And it doesn't matter the team they play for. I'm going to run. I've got 4 of those guys at the moment. Don't have Grant. I'll probably get Grant, and I'll happily run the entire Melbourne spine in my Supercoach side plus Katoa, and they'll all probably score over 70 most of the time anyway. They just happen to be in the same team, but it is a convenience that they don't play a bye. So you've got a guaranteed section of 5 dudes, probably 4 to 5 dudes that aren't going to go anywhere unless they get rested, which is, it's
apart from the
always a
2
chance.
Origin players next week? The obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's next week. You know what I mean? We're sort of covering that anyway and looking forward for, we know that Munster's not going to play. It's well expected, and so be it, really. I've got 17 for next week. And that's with all the Origin players out, properly out. So next week is very comfortable. So I think you'll be able to cover it. Most teams will look like, that sort of that sort of lineup anyway. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. But they're the one team that I would confidently have 5 of and not worry at all.
Yeah. In terms of other hooking options, is there any other one or any others out there? Connor Watson is not an option because he's not playing a bye this week and he won't play next week. He will probably more than likely back up though, because he has had a couple of weeks off and he won't play big minutes in Origin. So he's a 19 target as a dual 2OF. He's actually got the highest average in the hooker position too, with 67.
Yeah.
But anyone else that you think is a good option now? I've got a couple, but I'll let you go first.
A good option now. I would have to say Blake Brayley's been flying at the moment.
Yes.
He's got a -1 break even, 575. He does this often. He'll dip. Somehow it's weird too because he always remains super consistent and his low scores are a 40. But every now and then he'll dip below 500, and you go, "Oh crap, that's a good price for Brayley. He's always quite good." Don't get him, and all of a sudden, you know, he's almost 600, and he will be next week. He'll be probably 650 odd, pushing himself up to probably the dearest hooker in the group. But a -1, he'll play Melbourne this week, so probably a 50 tackle game for him, which is always good. Doesn't play next week, but then plays the Dolphins and then the Roosters in 20. So if your buy numbers are fine for next week, I'd probably look at him on the quickest turnaround. McInnes has been hitting the 55s like he always does, so upside wise, it just doesn't seem to be there. But as far as everything else goes, I'd rather just wait. There's a couple of guys that I like a lot as players that are cheaper in the ranks, like Jeremy Marshall King's 437k, which I would be like, that's awesome, but he just doesn't look fantastic for it. I don't really like the look of really anyone. at the moment, and I'd probably be happy to wait till around 20 or around 19 just to see, because that's the thing. Like, it's a hooker slot. You're not going to be making another trade in that position again for the year. I've got 10 left, and I don't want to have to do another one. So the one that I get will be the one that I ride home. As far as it goes, it just makes so much sense for Grant. He's so in reach. He's so within reach. His price isn't massive. You can just get him for a reasonable figure. Even Watson as well. I think Watson's probably got the most going for him with the duel, but you still need another hooker if something does go south. But yeah, I don't know, man. What are you thinking? There's the other players. There has been some big scores here and there, but there's nothing I really want to commit to.
Yeah. So my favorite option is Harry Grant. My second favorite option is Blake Brayley. But I just want to talk about a couple of things. And we talk really heavily in this group, in our pod, about overall. That's sort of what we're fighting for. But we also need to consider that we are about to go into finals for our head-to-heads as well. And I'm in a few money leagues. So it is important for head-to-head at the same time as what I've got in overall. Blake Brayley has the Sharks have the round 25 bye. So that is a bad time. So just be considered. Now, that's obviously a fair way away. So that we're only around 17 now. So that's 8 weeks away. But it is a prelim final, right? So that's to get into a grand final. Most leagues will have their grand finals in 26. So just bear that in mind, that if you've got it, I would be looking at something like a Brayley trade if I had 16, 17 trades, which I have seen some very high ranked players with a lot of trades. I've seen way more than some. I've seen a lot. I'm very surprised that the higher ranks have so many trades. I've even seen a few that have 17 trades and a couple of boosts, which is incredible. But it's there. So, like, if I had those trades, I'd be looking at a Brayley, because I know that I'm going to have plenty of trades moving forward. I've got another option that if I had more than my 11 trades going into this round, I would look at, and I love this guy and I love what he's doing, and it's Chris Randall.
Yep.
So the last two, so he's since round 11, where the games have been, where he's been getting and banking 80 minutes, 48 against the Raiders. You'll take that. That's okay. 58 against the Storm, 46 against the Broncos, 97 against Manly, 82 against Para. That's a pretty good 4-round game series, as averaging basically 80 minutes. One of them, he got 76 against the Storm at 58 minutes in a game they got flogged. Plays this week against the Cowboys. Cowboys just are leaky defensively. They're just a terrible defensive team, in my opinion. Does have the 18 bye, but again, we've got coverage. Most people should have coverage. Then he plays the Broncos, the Tigers, New Zealand, Penrith. I'm not completely sold on their defense at the moment. Souths, Sharks, then the Warriors, the Wars again, Dolphins, and the Tigers. So it's a really nice run home. And the amount of injuries and how the Titans are going, Chris Randall's to me, is got to get at least 60 to 80 minutes every week. I think he is a wonderful play. If I had 15, 16, 17 trades, I think he'd be a no-brainer. I'd be bringing him in.
Does it concern you at all with Randall, the fact that he's covering the second row slot, and there's all this talk about Fafita returning, and his position just maybe goes back to like a reduced minutes or a bench role again, or even lock, because he was killing it at lock at some stage too?
No, and I don't think that's going to be something that's going to happen in the next few weeks. He's got a -10 break even, so like he's going to be 600K in a blink of an eye, and you can make that, and you can sort that out if Fafita comes back. I just really like the Randall play, and I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think there's any need for the Titans to bring him back. To be fair,
yeah. There's been a couple of these,
unless there's a coach change. I don't think that's happening.
Yeah, there's been a couple of these cheap little plug-in lock forwards and second row forwards that have been covering the hooker slot in as far as Supercoach position goes. With Donahue,
Yeah,
he's skyrocketed. He's gone up 258K in a matter of weeks, just with how good he's been. Jazz Tavanga looks like, I was very keen on him earlier in the year too. It looked like a very temporary play between like the Gerbo HIA and a couple injuries and Aloye out and all these little things, and you just were very uncertain with it. He's 520K now, and he's starting at hooker again, so it's not ideal for his output scoring wise. But he's another guy that's just, you sort of just, you see him perform, and you kind of just watch him from a distance, and then all of a sudden they're too dear, and you go, oh, crap! I've been watching this guy for 3 weeks, and I should have just done it weeks ago. Randall was one of those when he moved to the second row, and I thought 80 minutes, he was 380 odd K. There was nothing to lose. Yeah, he's a really, really good shout. It's just, I don't know. I even still, I'd be looking over my shoulder thinking what's going to happen with that position because they have changed it so many times this year. But yeah, if you've got a lot of trades, that's pretty good. Even one at the moment too, for a cheap option, Jaden Brayley, 292k, looks to be starting hooker again. He's what is his break even at the moment? -5 as well. So he's always good for essentially, like what Riley Smith has been doing as far as an output goes, but for a lot less. Could be a healthy downgrade option for some money if you just wanted a second hooker slot, even one to just cover like a hole this week. And hopefully he just keeps his position in there because Crossland's been starting at lock lately, but it's pretty dull affair when it comes to those positions. It's nothing that I want to personally do, but again, you still need one at the end of the day. You still need a hooker. You can still make a lot of points off him as well. Actually, I think Joel, was it you had Damien Cook with me last year at this stage of the
Yes.
year?
Yes.
How bloody good was that, having
Well-
90, 100 points coming out of your hooker slot at the end of the season where you've been, working off
Well,
40s and 50s all year?
I was waiting until you guys finished, but I was going to mention if one of those Dragons hookers go down, I'll be trading the other one straight in that week.
Oh yeah,
So
100%. But we've been
they
saying that
will
all year.
be
We're waiting for that.
It's not happening.
hooker.
It has not happened. But
Yeah,
I
I
agree. I
prefer
think that's a
Little
really
as
good
well.
shout out. Absolutely. Yeah, same. I do too. But I think it's a great shout out. But yeah, whether that happens or not is another story.
Yeah, if it does, I don't think so. But I think it's crazy what we've seen Little do off the bench, and it concerned me that in an injury game that they moved Damien Cook to the centers as well. Like it's just that meme that keeps giving. But look, if anything does happen, they're both fantastic options on their own. It's just a shame, and we said it, preseason, this is going to hurt both of them, and it's going to make both of them a poor option, unfortunately, considering how both
And Little extended. So
yeah,
wow, there must be some plans happening that we don't know about for
long
next
term.
year because he has to be starting, in my opinion. He's so good.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, top trades in and out. Top 10.
Top 10. So the top 10 on the outs, Fletcher Sharp, unfortunately, freaking really unfortunate, really abnormal sort of injury that he came up with, a lacerated kidney and a ruptured spleen from a tackle. It wasn't even a really innocuous tackle either. It looked pretty normal and, massive. So there's no
Likened
real,
to a car crash.
yeah, that's what I
Shocking.
was saying. Insane. I remember the last time they likened an injury to a car crash, it would have been like Fanua Blake's knee or maybe even Pappenhausen's
Mm,
shattered knee with White. And there was a couple
yeah.
of really explosive injuries that have happened that are like massive blowouts. And they looked like a bad tackle or a bad injury at the time. This one just looked like a normal one. So yeah, goes out to him. It's a really shit go for him. Unfortunately, he's been playing really, really well. So I don't know what happens with him this year. Genuinely, I don't think anyone really does. I think it's going to be like a bit touch and go with him. In that, I would say he's a trade out. Obviously, we don't know even if he's going to return this year, as well with that kind of injury, because there's really nothing to base it off. We haven't seen that kind of thing happen before. So, 719k. He's traded out in the top 10% by, I would say, the vast majority, 31.7 at the moment. So, look, there's a lot of popular options in for him at the moment. I think the most obvious one is Jacob Carraz, sideways swap for about 40k. And it's the one that I've done. So it's quite easy to do. It's almost like it's gifted you on a plate. Here's a Jacob Carraz for your Fletcher Sharp and just take it. Don't even think twice about it, really, to be fair. Like you can and try and get cute with a trade, but it's really obvious. Anything on Fletcher Sharp, boys? We all at him.
Sell.
I read an article today that said that he could have died.
Holy shit.
So yeah,
man.
and that's the Daily Mail. So it's not a shitty little paper, but yeah. So that's what I read. Word is that everyone's talking that he'll miss the season. So it's a no-brainer to trade it. Don't wait a week. Just make a trade.
Yeah.
Carraz is just simply going to cost you next to nothing. Plays 18 and 19. No-brainer. Do what you got to do. If you've already got Carraz, then you're cooking.
Yeah. Draw, sell.
Sell.
Easy.
Sell City.
Done.
Bye-bye.
Done. Number 2, the most popular trade in last week, or the second most popular actually last week, Jack Bostock, with his exceptionally low break even. didn't really make it, unfortunately. So he has done his ACL too. It's a season ender. That one probably see him early into next year, which is just really shit. But look, he got his massive score. You made money still. You made 85K. I think the plan with Bostock at the time when you traded him in was to make like 150 to 200.
Yeah, you're
Didn't
hoping
happen.
another week this week.
Yeah, another one would have got you another good price rise, but yeah, not going to happen there. Even still, his break even is 0, so it would have been pretty good. 620K. I would say if you didn't have coin in the bank and you needed to trade him out, I really like a Lehigh trade from him. I don't think that's far away price wise. I think you're probably looking at 40K as well. Pretty much what Fletcher Sharp to Carraz would be. So there is options. There's plenty around that spot, but it's really not much point. He's obviously a sell. He's out for the season. Hey.
No brainer. That's a trade. And I like the shout out to Hopper Whitey. There are still 255 coaches bringing in Herbie Farnworth, but that's obviously in the all coaches in the top 10%. There are some bringing in Lomax at 690 as well. So there's a few options all around under 100K that you could put Bostock up to. I think you would be pretty happy. The other one I'll give a shout out to is Bradman Best, and he's not in this in our top trades, which we'll talk about soon. But I think Bradman Best is I brought him in before he got his injury. It was out for 4 weeks. Very excited to have him in my team, and then he got injured, unfortunately, the week after. So I had to deal with that, like what you are with Bostock owners. But he just got 100 on the weekend. Just an absolute monster. I think he's at a really good price. Okay, he's going to miss next week, but I don't mind that. I think he's going to he'll keep playing unless he's injured. I think he's a great shout out.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, he's a freaking beast last week. I don't think he always turns it on this time of year as well. It's just his freaking injuries are just so frequent. It sucks. And another one too, just to sort of mention, because obviously the Roosters are on a bye this week, so they're not really popular on the trade-in market. But if you can hold off a week, he's basically a sideways swap to Marky Mark as well. There's really not much in their prices at all, and he's really bloody good. So they've got plenty of options. Seriously, there's plenty of options. So yeah, if you've got good coverage this week and even next, you could bide a bit of time. But if you've got Sharp and Bostock, you got to do something this week at least and get someone of that sort of returning points. And I think personally, if you've got a Sharp and a Bostock, you get one. It has to be Carraz at the very least. So number 3, Ola Kawatu is still being traded out. So there's still been people that are sitting on him using his money for what turns up, and that's fair. 660K. There's still plenty of things to do with him. So he'd be a trade out as well. Nothing deeper on Ola Kawatu. We sort of mentioned that in the last 2 weeks. Hubner, number 4. Hubner's made some coin. He's on the bench this week, so 418K. He's on the decline at the moment. His break even is 70. Yeah, if you want to maximize the coin return on Hubner, it's got to be this week, because he'll just yo-yo up and down between this and 420K. Basically, there's not much in him. So, yep. Anything there, Hubner?
I'm a Hubner owner, and I'm happy to have him. I'll just sit him there. Like, it is what it is. Like, even if he drops back down to 400K, he's got anywhere from 40 to 60. I'm happy to have that on my bench's depth as my 6th second row forward once I deal with that, or 5th even. So I'm quite comfortable with that. If I had other trades and I'd trade him, but I'm happy just to have him sit there. The thing is, there's no point having a team loaded of superstars because you're not going to play them all, and there's a lot of money that you're sitting out when you don't play them, and then you're playing on matchups and things like that. It's just not worth it. So you need to have just enough talent on the and big time guys, and then also have some of these little guys like Lockie Hubner and that, so that it's easy to not play them.
Yeah, pretty much makes your sit and starts a bit easier. But yeah, he's in my 6th second row slot at the moment, and the whole plan with him essentially would just be to nuff him entirely out and upgrade someone else. You don't need 6 gun starting second rowers when you're probably doing the same thing in your centers and your halves and your fullbacks. It's just unmanageable. Who have we got as number 5? Hiroti.
Yep.
Look,
Trade.
I'm just going to run through the rest of them, hey, because they're all just very obvious and clear outs. There's nothing going crazy. Harodi, number 5. Riley Smith, 6. Nathan Lawson, 7. Billy Smith and Sandon Smith, 8 and 9. And then Zach Hosking is number 10, surprisingly enough. But out of all of those, essentially the top 10% trade outs, I can make a point to trade every single one of those guys out and do something better with. They're all just middling squad players, to be fair.
Yep.
Is there
Good call.
anything? Yeah, just get them out. If you've got an upgrade there for them and they're the guys out, look, I'd imagine that 95% of your team is pretty much settled, or maybe 90%, and the rest are just 1-2 trades, one up and down. They kind of have to be the ones, really. There's no one else I'd be happy to trade out. But on the ins,
Well, just quickly,
yes.
I think the Hosking one, if you've gone this far with him, at least keep him for this week. No Hudson Young. I feel like they might go a bit more attack with Hosking this week. So I would not be trading Hosking out this week.
Yeah, if you need to play him, for sure. I'm not even reserving him this week in my team.
I'm
I
not
do have
either.
him. But it's just one of those things. If you can turn, Hosking into someone, again, like a lot of the guys that I'd want to get as like a final player in the side.
Yeah.
If you're going like to a Preston or a Kickow or something, I don't mind that for a pod shout for this week. Young's out, Crichton's out, like Angus Crichton. There's a few that you'd want to get your final team. So he's definitely a play though, for sure a play this week. But yeah, he'd be the only
next week.
second row. Is he number next week?
No.
Yes. No, he's out
Oh,
next
yes,
week.
yes.
They
No,
got
no, no,
the
19.
Oh, he's out 19. Yeah. So
Yeah.
19, he'd be the trade out. So you still get two
Yeah.
numbers out of him. The most traded in player this week, and we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that he could be someone to keep an eye on, is Josiah Karapani. He backed it up. He had another monster game. So he's been traded in by 33%. He's 290k and you've got a minus 85 break even. So he's making some astronomical coin. He'll go up probably, I would say, 110. Well, he's projected to make 110 off of 55. I don't think he really goes less than that. But it's the Warriors, so you never know. But either way, it's 100k. The only thing that I would say, and the reason why I wouldn't be too fussed on missing him at all, is that coin is only good if you trade him out again. So if you're getting him in with 9-10 trades, and you're like, oh, I'm going to upgrade him, in weeks' time, it's like, well, you're getting a trade, you're using one to get him in, and you're going to use another one to get him out for the sake of a couple 100k, who's a bottom dollar guy. It's like, you just get him for his price and his value anyway. I think that's probably a good idea, to be fair. 290k, he's shown that he's got the upside for it, but I'd be very surprised if you get into that point late on where you're looking at trading him again. Valid?
Yes. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I'm not interested.
It's a bit hard now.
So I am very interested.
Yeah.
And I think people should be really interested in him. I think he's got the spot locked down. He plays 17, 18, 19, doesn't play 20. He does play the Bulldogs next week, but that's Bulldogs origin affected. So there's a few out with that one. He's got the Wars this week. Obviously, the Wars are a good team, but it's at Suncorp. It's a Saturday after a game. So I think it's going to be I think the weather's pretty good this weekend. So it should be a dry track. Might be wrong with the weather report because it's been raining the last couple of days, but I think it is going to be dry. He's 290k, so he's not your bottom dollar cheapie, but he's a good price. And he's already shown that he can score, he can score against a decent team in the Sharks with a 97. So I like him. I think he's a great play. I am not doing it. I don't have the trades to do it. I can't drop someone down. There is a world, and I'll talk about that in my trade talk, where I could do it. I'm just not 100% sold on it at this point in time, particularly when you hear about what I am going to do. And I reckon you'll say that's the no-brainer one other than getting Karapani in. But I can see why people, if you do have trades, you're getting him in because he's looking like he's got scoring potential. He's a good price. He's going to go up a good amount of dollars. If you can then trade him out, yep, awesome. Again, yeah, it's team dependent, trade dependent, but I can see why people are doing it.
Yep, for sure. He's basically what Bostock had the appeal for last week for 300k less. So I looked at it this week for sure because I was thinking, as much as I love the fella, Purdue's leaking quite a lot, and I can bank 300k doing it. I've backflipped on that decision. I'm going to keep him anyway. But yeah, look, I think it's a great trade. I think he's got good point scoring potential for a 6th centre wing or a 7th centre wing that you probably won't be playing often. But to plug a hole and even as a buy number next week, you could do worse. So
Agreed.
enables a lot. Number 2, Jacob
The king.
Kiraz. He's back. Yeah, look, Jacob Kiraz, you just get him. Just get Kiraz in. You've got an avenue to him, most likely. Especially if you're in that top 10%, which is what we're looking at the moment, between a Bostock. My plan was a Zarko to him, and I made sure I had 50k in the bank to sort of allow it to happen. And then Fletcher Sharp happened. So I'll just keep a Zarko now. You know what I mean? Like things change as they go, but I just don't think there's a world where you just can't get him when he's available. And he's playing the Panthers, but a 76 break even. I reckon he makes coin this week. He's been traded in total overall by 14.2k. Yeah, he's in my side. My
It
center
makes
wing's
absolutely no difference who the Bulldogs play when with Jacob Kiraz. It
no,
makes
not at all.
no difference. He just goes through work. He will just do the work. He gets tackles. He gets lots of runs. He gets runs in good attacking positions. And then to add to it, the Bulldogs are a good team, so that's why his points are getting better. Like he was scoring like this in a team that wasn't winning games. Like he's now doing this even better. So he's a freak. He's the king. Get him in. Don't even think about it. Off you go. There was a question I posed to Jesse at one point around like how can you in the top few K make ranks when everyone is literally in the top 1% getting Kiraz? When you're all getting the same guys, how do you actually make ranks? You can't because yeah. So is there a play where you can antipod him? And the answer to that question, Jesse, is
no. I don't think so. I don't think it's
not
worth
one of
not
them.
having him. Yeah, he's not the guy to antipod. He'll kill you. He'll straight up kill you not having him. Like fair enough, you might not captain or VC him every week, which you probably bloody well could. But like, he'll put up 90 in base and power. He'll might have a try contribution and maybe a line break assist and score 100 points. It's like there's no one else doing that. And if he scores, we saw him do it against the Titans. He decided to score a couple tries because he's not a massive try scoring winger. Funnily enough, 150. Like he's the guy that he'll make and break a season. And I think for his price, you've got options for sure. You could probably go, I'll save 100k and I'll get Lehigh this week instead. He's playing fullback. It's like, yeah, you could do that. Or you could just be happy and confident and just go with Jacob Kiraz and enjoy watching footy on the weekend. So, yeah,
not
I
an
don't know.
antipod guy.
Not an antipod guy. He's
But
too
that is
hard
the
to
question
watch.
that people in the top 1% need to start asking, though, is who are you getting as pods and what are you doing differently? Because you can't rely on your captain choices to improve your ranks. You're going to have to do something different. But unfortunately, a Jacob Kiraz, when he's pumping out 90s and potentially 150s, and you've antipoded to a guy who's going to get 70s and 80s, well, that makes a big bloody difference. He's not that guy to antipod. But
yeah. We will do a pod again soon. Sorry, Joel.
Sorry.
Go for it.
There is a world where you can wait 1 week on him. I'll just say that. Not ideal, but there is a world you can. He's literally he's one wing injury away from playing in the Blues next week. Being in the Blues team. So
if you want
to just in case,
again, you're playing. That's a massive
safety.
playing in the what if realm, and I don't want to be playing in. I've said many times I don't want to play in the what if realms.
That's
what if
I'm
he
just
gets
saying out there. I'm just doing something else that's out there. You're saying that there has to be ways to be different. A way to be different is this because it is the Penrith Panthers. I'm predicting Penrith to be almost a Penrith of old in this game. I think they'll make a statement. So I've actually tipped Penrith to win this. Whether they can strangle, I know he's got great base, things like that, but I'm just saying there is a reason out there you can wait at least 1 week on him.
Yeah, so if you want to be a safety Sam and wait a week on him, by all means.
But hey, you're talking about antipod. That anti like you just said antipod. I'm trying to get
antipod. But I'm not going to antipod a dude because I think he might play Origin. Or just to go and get him next week.
Sorry, I'll just keep agreeing with you two. It's all right. I'll just keep
It's valid.
agreeing.
No, it is. It is valid because if anything does happen, there's a good chance he gets a look in. But either way, he gets a look in for a game 18 where I've got, most people will have exceptional buy coverage for this one. and then he'll probably just back up anyway, considering he's been backing up last 2 years half busted anyway and scoring tons for fun. So like, I think you could wait a week, but then you'd be waiting a week to get him in the week after because it's inevitable.
Yeah. The
Even if he
point of
does,
anti-potting is not getting them at all and going
yeah, go
somewhere else,
elsewhere.
not waiting. Yeah.
So it's funny actually, just looking at Karaz and talking about his percentage and ownership. It was always going to happen anyway, so I don't think there's too much to really dive into. But he's currently 74% owned in the top 10% already. He's at a 41% increase just this round alone. So the stars kind of
So
aligned for everyone to
16K.
buy him.
So the top 10% is about 16,000 teams.
Yeah. It's it is actually pretty much 16,000, a bit over, maybe close to 17. So
Yeah.
and when you're looking in the top 1%, if you want to make that big ground, if you're pushing right up there, he's 86.4% owned currently. And that'll just be 99% probably in 2 weeks' time. So you could go against the grain, but you'd be one of maybe 100 people doing it. And it's at that point, you just stick with the crowd and just take the points that he gives you and find another one. Find like a Mark or 18%, Lehigh currently 16%. Val Holmes 8.6%. There's other players, you know what I mean? But when someone's 100% owned, you got to have them. Moving on to
Grant, we've already spoken
Harry
about.
Grant. Yeah, we've mentioned number 4, Zach Lomax. Don't buy Zach Lomax, please.
But you
That
did.
terrifies me. Not
I did.
having
I bought him
this
weeks ago, and I'm captain him this week. So I'm so eager for this one. God, it's going to be good. He's 697k up against his
So
old
hang on,
club.
were you being sarcastic and saying
I
don't
was.
buy Lomax,
Of course
or are
I
you
was.
trying to are you sabotaging our community?
No, it's why I went back into it saying he's great and I've got him. Yeah, look, I think he's a great buy. He's cheap, to be fair for him, for his standard and quality. He's freaking cheap. I bought him a couple of weeks ago when he was a bit dearer. I think he was 730 or 40. And he's had a couple of good weeks, to be fair. Like, not outlandish, 62, 61 Origin, then came back for an 81. Like, you take that with next to nothing. Good goal kicking. You know, it's funny what game can do. But, yeah, I like the trade. I do. I really can't knock it. I think if you're going to get him, like, now's the time. You could wait a week again. You know what I mean? Like, Moses isn't there now. He hasn't scored a try without Moses, but who cares? Like, he's going to find a way to score good points. And I think he'll still be a top center wing and probably relatively low owned for the rest of the season, hopefully going forward. Anything?
There's plenty that are waiting to pounce on him post Origin, so he will not
Yeah.
be low ownership by then. No way.
Probably
There is
not.
so many
we'll
outspoken people that are saying.
And I dare say we'll be able to get him cheaper then too. I don't like the buy of Lomax this week. To be fair, I don't like it.
I do.
Break even of 96. He's not going to play Origin next week. He will back up in 19. But I don't like it. I will be buying him in 19 if he plays 19. If he doesn't, I'll definitely get him in 20, and hopefully I can get him for cheaper.
I would say if you're going to get him, you get him this week when the matchup is ripe, because you're going to get him after Origin against the Panthers, who Joel's predicting to turn a corner, and then you're going to have him against the Raiders week after. So, like,
They have turned the corner. What do you mean predicting? They've turned it.
Yeah,
they're in
but
the
they're
8.
also good on them. They're 2 points away from last.
They're in the 8.
Yeah, they'll be fine. But yeah, look, I think if you are planning to get him in 2 weeks' time, you want to get him for this week. I'm just glad I have him already. Otherwise, I'd be tossing up between him and Karaz, and I'd have to go Karaz, and I'd be watching Lomax going, far out, this is a good matchup. So, yeah, a lot of people,
Terrifies me not having him this
Yeah.
week. Terrifies me.
This is a classic.
Doesn't terrify
Dig to
me.
Zach.
I'm happy not to have him.
No, well, you will be terrified soon. What game
Next,
do they play?
they play the Dragons. Next.
Yeah, I know who they play. Next, Viliami Kickow. Actually, I'm going to let you talk about Kickow, Trav, because you were talking to me earlier in the week about him.
Well, you've got the stats, so you talk about that. So he is my trade in this week. Sorry to wreck that part of the trade part, but he is being traded in.
Very nice. So he is currently in the top 10% being traded in by it's only 1,100. It's 4.6, so it has dropped off quite a lot down at this point. 621.8k. He has a break even of 27. So we were sort of talking, me and Trav, earlier in the week about Kickow, and I was very hot on Kickow earlier, and I can understand the hesitancy around him because he never really sustains his kind of output and base and everything that he's doing this year. It's very un-Kickow-like over the course of a season. We've seen him be a decoy. Sort of gets used a little different as well. His base is quite low. He doesn't make a great deal of tackles or anything, but he just looks super damaging, and you always think Kickow's done a shit ton. Usually hasn't. This year's very, very different. So as far as his base and power goes, it's pretty much a 10-point increase, up to about 54 odd in base and power over his best season, which was 2022, where I think he based power at about 42. So he's making a lot more effort and more work out of that, and he's scored 3 tries this year as opposed to his best season, which was I think 9 or 11, and he averaged less. So they're using him different. He's doing a lot of sweep plays. He's doing a lot more work offloading. He's scoring, assisting more. Like, he just looks really bloody good on that left side. He's 621, and the other avenue for the Dogs forward is Preston, who's like 680. So the prices are getting close. But yeah, I just don't think people are going to really be pushing too far into Kickow. He's got good buy coverage too. Plays obviously next week in 19. So I like it a lot. I think genuinely, I think this will be the Kickow we see for the rest of the season. I don't think he regresses at all. Joel?
I'm in the hesitant bracket. I'm not that keen. I haven't really looked at him, to be honest with you. Very happy with where my second row is sitting. And I'm just, I understand those wanting to gain rank and things like that and going for this play. I'm not going to bag the play. I think it's still a very solid play, but for me, not in my plans.
No, it's fair. He's not in mine anymore too, because I have Preston, so I'm not going to run both. But I'd see genuine appeal in Kickow for sure. He's got a really high ceiling.
I'd probably go Preston over Kickow. I'd know that there's 60k difference though, so
yeah. Well, now there's 60k. Yeah, there was 150, 200k between them at one point, and that's where I'd be going. Geez, I'd be looking heavily at Kickow. Now between 60 odd k, you can still go that pod number. Preston is number 10 on this list as well, and we'll get to him shortly. But I think just for a bit of confidence, Preston looks like the guy. But number 6, Lehigh Hopewadi. So we sort of briefly touched on him. He's going to be fullback now. Tommy's playing in the centers. So I really like it. I think if you held on to him, congratulations. Worked out perfectly for you because you didn't get a flick back to the wing. 663, I still think he's a fantastic buy, and especially against the Tigers this week. I think he's got a really good matchup. So really popular option as far as a trade goes. Well, not as obviously as popular as Carraz at the moment because he's the clear one, but there's definite merit in Lehigh, especially banking money from Sharp too. So, but again, you're going to anti-pod Carraz. I probably wouldn't.
Nope,
Trav, what do you
I
reckon?
wouldn't be. If you can find another way to get Hopewadi in, awesome. He does have a break even of 120. Yep, he does have a good matchup against the Tigers. But yeah, I don't think 120 is within him. Basically, he's only scored over 107. Oh, he hasn't actually 170 his highest score. He did 100 against Para before that. So I don't think the stats show that he's got that in him just yet, but I think he will get an 80-90, which is still a good score, but you might be able to get him cheaper. He does then have the Souths next week, and he's got that 19 mini buy, which to be fair for me is a bit of is annoying. My numbers in that mini buy in 19 start slowly creeping up because of the moves I've made. But you just be mindful because that 19 mini buy is going to be a bit scary for a few people that I know have not considered it. And if you're starting to get players that, is going to score the next 2 weeks or going to play the next 2 weeks but doesn't play 19, all that work you've done to then get into 19 and dip is going to hurt. So just be mindful of that. So have a look at that. But yeah, I like it. I think he's a gun. I said on the live show just before how much of a freak I think he is. I think he's their fullback. They've locked him in. They know that if they don't, that they're going to lose him. So I love this play. Absolutely.
Manly have a wealth of bloody talented fullbacks, don't they? Between Kulo, who was sort of like predicted to be their next fullback at some stage, and Garrick, who can do it, Turbo, obviously, now Lehigh. It's just, he's good. And he did actually score 132 last year against the Knights. So he has got him in him. And he's pretty well consistently up between 80 to 100 most of the time when he's fullback anyway. So, yeah, really good. And currently overall owned by 9% only. So it is, a little bit higher in the top brackets, but yeah, you could do good things with him going forward. But 19 obviously hurts. Number 7, Latu Fainu. I like this one a lot. Hey, I'm very intrigued by this kid. So he's 289k, just a 5'8", but he's starting in the 7. So I don't think he'll play enough to get the dual halfback, unfortunately. But maybe next season could be worth looking into. Minus 11 break even. Playing Manly, obviously they're playing each other there, but last week he scored a 64 off the bench. Before he scored 47. Like he's doing pretty well for his price tag. Um, a very healthy downgrade option for anyone with a 5'8", but it's kind of getting to that position now in the year where if you need to make money, there's a really good avenue with him, and he will be dearer soon. But who are you trading out? I've seen so many Munster Campbell combinations, or Brown, Metcalf, and Munster, and all these guys. It's like you got to cull one to get him. Are you doing it at all? Like, is it on the cards,
No,
Joel? No.
no. I think this guy is an absolute gun. I think he's a freak. So excited to watch him. Hopefully, fingers crossed for him, he goes through injury free as well. He obviously has had some issues with that in his career so far, unfortunately, but very keen to watch from a neutral point of view. But I don't want to. I wish I could, but I don't want to go from having two really good options at the moment in 5'8", where I'd be pretty confident and comfortable playing either of those each week, to a guy that I think, yes, is a good play, but at the same time, obviously his history and stuff. And I don't want to go that far. I don't need to. I want to have keepers at the moment, not downgrades.
Yeah,
I don't mind it. I like the play. If you have JC, although he's injured at the moment, but he will be back after 18. Munster, if you've got those two, I think I don't mind. You don't need 2 5'8". You just don't. Unless it's those two, you're not getting super scores. Metcalf is popping up for big scores here and there, and then getting 50s and 60s. Like you know, and you can bank those things, and I get that. But he'd be if you've got those two guys, he'd be a good downgrade. Cash, get that in. You're often not playing your 2 5'8". So I actually like the play. I'm really keen on it. I can't do it personally because I've got JC's head injury that I'm dealing with, and he's got the bye next week, and I'm sitting on Strange. So I can't do that, and I'm not going to. But there was a world where I actually thought about doing it a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but just with the hope that Latu would then get the duel and then I'd be able to play with it. But yeah, it didn't work out. He's finally got it now. I think he's a gun. You can tell how good he is by the last 2 weeks. As soon as he's come on, the Tigers have just looked so much better. Now he's going to start. I think those scores that he's got is easy within realm. I think it's a good trade.
Yeah, so I've got Munster and Burton, and I'm actually not playing Burton this week. And it seems like a hell of a waste to have 570k invested in my second 5'8" when he's pretty much 6 plays down the pecking order for my reserves. So the depth is nice, but in that situation, I could go Burton to final and bank 300. And it's very tempting. But again, it's like, is it worth doing at all? So for that reason, I'm really on the fence with it. Hey, I'm really on the fence with it. You need coin to make these last trades, and I just don't know where it's coming from unless something like that happens. So, yeah, if you're anything like me there with a good amount of depth, I'd consider it. Wouldn't be sold though. Number 8, Payne Haas.
Freak.
Fuck, he's
Freaking
freak. He's so good. He's a killer. Hey,
freak. He's just.
Yeah.
We all traded him out, hoping that we would be able to get him a lot cheaper than what he was, and he's just been able to put 70s, 80s, and 100. Like that 100 on the weekend just stuffed us all around. For those of us that don't have him, because we were all hoping for lower scores during our own period for him to drop. He's a freak. I love it. I love picking him. Okay, he's going to play this week against the Wars. He's going to give you another good score. He has Origin off against the Bulldogs. He's going to miss that game, and then he comes up against the Titans. And I think he backs up against the Titans. So it's showing. The Broncos are showing that they're just going to run him into the ground. So I love it.
Yeah.
I think you have to have him. He does miss 20 on a bye and then plays the rest out. But yeah, I really like it. I think you've got to have Haas is one of those guys you just got to have and just deal with it.
Yeah, he's pretty much the same sort of, position as like a Carraz would be. Just you need him when he scores those hundreds. When he looks injured and fatigued, and he's backing up, and he's still banging out 100. It's like you can't not have this dude. I traded him to Tarpany, expecting Tarpany to outscore him over this period, and he hasn't. And he's played an extra game. That's so annoying. Even price wise, they were thereabouts the same at that stage, and now there's 100k between them. So. Yeah, Ars is the man. So he'll play this week against the Wars, miss next week, play 19, miss 20. So I suppose you could be allowed to wait until that 21 game against Penrith, Parramatta, or you just get him and just have him and feel good about it. I don't know. When would you be buying him?
21.
Yep.
That's what I'm doing. I sold him a while ago. To be honest, it hasn't really hurt me. Like you're talking about hurting and stuff. It hasn't. I've gained rank since selling him, so it's worked out for me quite well. I know he'll probably get another great score against either this Warriors game or the Titans game. But it's working for me. We're waiting, watching behind the couch, and yeah, he got 100 on the weekend, but I feel like it didn't really hurt my scores too much at all. So I'm happy to wait. It was my plan all along to wait until round 21. I'm not going to change that just to get him in for this week, where I've got a pretty stacked team, I feel like, anyway, with a couple of really good players not even playing and getting scores this week. So I'll wait.
Yeah. Well, he plays 2 of the next 4. And in those 2, if he scores 100, he probably outscores most front row forwards in 2 games than they'll do in 4. So you can get him, you can wait. Doesn't really make too much of a difference, hey? I think I'll just wait, make it easy. He probably does get rested though. Surely he's getting wrecked. Who we got in number 9? Aaron Clark. I'll throw to the Aaron Clark advocate himself then, Joel. You there? Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
What was that?
Sorry. Oh, Aaron Clark, mate. You just froze out on us.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say one other thing on Payne Haas. I think the Broncos, they've turned a bit of a corner. They're ground. They can't do that at the moment with him. I know he's carrying stuff, but they need to make sure they manage him as well.
Yeah, exactly right. But that was Payne Haas. Now we're on Aaron Clark. So he's been bloody good, man. Aaron Clark has been super, super good, and he's just getting up and up and up, and his points just keep getting higher than they were the week before, which is insane because I keep expecting him to not do it, and he doesn't stop. Coming off an 83, 78 2 weeks prior, 72, a down week of 65, funnily enough. So, break even of 71. He's 673k. He just keeps doing it. I just think you get him for what he is, and you just take the 60s to 80s most of the time. But
yeah, I bloody wish I got him instead of Fermor last week, but I needed the extra 100 odd K that the trade was at, and I wanted that value, and it would have given me an extra 24 points. Would have been very handy. I like it. If you can get him in, got a trade for it, get him in. I don't hate the trade for Aaron Clark.
Yeah, I wish I got him in over bloody Tarpany. Hindsight, going back to round 11 or 12 when we traded Haas out, because I think they were both on the cards, and just think Tarpany's got the quality about him, and since then he's dipped hard, and Aaron Clark's just gotten better and better. So, yep, he looks like a fantastic option, even with his minutes were really good last week too. He had a couple of down minute weeks, but if you can keep putting plus 60 plus minutes in, base work, there's 80 points most of the time. And the last guy in this top 10% list is Jacob Preston. So he's 688k. I seem to have a habit of killing Preston whenever he's in my side. I brought him back in for his 52, and I sold him in round 3 or 4 for his 122. So I've missed all the good stuff out of him, and I'm hoping to see some of it. But he's 688k, 93 break even. I think he's a great buy, to be fair. That's why I bought him a bit earlier. He had a higher break even as well. He's lost 30k in the 1 week I've had him. So that's not great, but I think the way that the Dogs are tracking and the appeal of Kickow, especially with this whole right edge getting back into it now too with Carraz, we'll see what happens about the Burton side of things with the Galvin and Sexton and all that. But either way, I think he's a good option for the second row market. Considering ownership, you do need to find a pod somewhere, and he's pretty much the best of the group as far as it goes, with significantly lower ownership. Trav, where do you sort of line up? Obviously, you're getting Kickow in. Is it a price thing or is it a preference thing?
No, it's just a price thing. I like Preston. I think he's a good shout out. I think he's a good player. He's a gun player. I'd love to get him in, but I have other moves that I need to make, and I think I'm going to get just pretty reasonably close scores from Kickow as to what I can get from Preston. So I'm going to save the extra cash. That's just the way I'm thinking about it, but love it. If you've got the cash and can spend it, I'd be going Preston.
Cool. Joel?
Yeah, I like it. We've already sort of touched on it with the Kickow, but yeah, I'd go Preston for sure.
Yeah, cool. As far as it goes, I'll just sort of real briefly, that was the last of the 10 anyway. A couple of very popular ins overall, not so much in the top groups, but just in the overall packs in general. Alex Johnson has been absolutely freaking flying since he's been, scoring all these tries. He's popular in the overall pack, but as soon as you get into like the top end, he's not in there. He's a really good one. He's 580k now. He's made 150 essentially from where he started off on the season, but he's got an 8 break even. Huge ceiling, got a 137. It seems like his low games are about a 50 this year, which is still pretty good. I think he's probably going to try and push. I think he needs maybe 6 or 7 more tries to get all-time try scorer, and I'll be bloody well certain he's going to make that happen this season. Especially with Latrell going on there. Cody Walker's back now too. I really think there's a world where like Johnson could continue to score 70 plus, or his average is always skewed a lot because he has those massive blowouts and then a couple of low ones, but he's very fixture dependent. I like it. I had Alex Johnson in my team 2 years ago, and I remember VC and looping him a couple of times and playing him on matchup, and he always performed. So I think if you've got the balls to do a play like that, I think it's a very good shot, but risky as hell. So, but yeah,
Not for me.
man. No, he's not for many people, man. He's a very try-dependent winger, base of about 25 odd, but
good dude to pick up off the waivers in draft. I have done that, but which I did that 2 weeks ago, but no, not for me in Classic.
Yeah, there's plenty of other options. And if you don't have Herbie and Garrick and all the other stuff, then you should probably get those guys as well. But captains this week, I'm looking at a VC Carraz.
Hang on, our trades first, isn't it?
Oh, our trades. Well, I think we've freaking touched on our trades the last 50 times, but you go first, Joel.
For me this week, I am trading out Sharp. Sharp's gone for Carraz. Tamale's out. I was holding this because I was waiting to see if this was confirmed, and it was. Tamale out for Hopewadi. He's back in.
Love
Fullback Hopewadi, cannot pass it up.
Yeah, it's fantastic. If you've got anything to do that, friggin' oath.
It leaves me with 11 trades to go.
How much in the
bank?
And
140k in the bank.
Ooh, damn. Good position to be in. Who's your centre wing makeup now?
Herbie, Carraz, Hopper, Garrick, Asako. I still got Toyer actually, who's sitting there on 5. I've got a plan with him, so I'm just waiting. And Hiroti.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I dig it. That's mad. Trap?
At the moment, my trades are just pulling it up. My trades are Sharp to Carraz and Hubner to Kickow. It leaves me with 9 trades, 109,000 in the bank, and I probably won't make a trade next week and might only do one the week after. So if I can get to round 20 and I've got 5 or 6 to get me through the rest of the year and the way that my team's looking like, I'll be pretty happy. But yeah, that's where I'm looking. It potentially, if I don't go Kickow, I push Aiken up to the 2 RF and I get Hopewadi. That's my other option. So they're the 2 that I'm thinking of. I am not going to get Preston this week. I would rather Hopewadi than Preston. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I would say off a ceiling perspective and upside, I would be probably personally leaning into a Hopewadi over a Kickow. But again, if your numbers for 19 aren't fantastic, you got to consider that at the same time too. There's no point getting a guy in to not have him. So for sure. I look like I'm just doing the one move this week. Sharp to Carraz. I've got so many green ticks. I've got so many good options of players to play this week that I'm not. It's so unnecessary to do anything else than that. It doesn't leave me with a lot in the bank. I had about 50k and now I've got 13.7. But nothing else that I really want to do. No hooker. That's kind of the only thing that I would look into. But again, I mentioned where my stance is on the hooker side for this round. I'm just hoping that Sandon's back next week and I'll just do something going forward from there and try and bank some coin out of one of these guys. But yeah, there's not many left to get coin out of. Between like a Purdue trade to Karapani for the money, or like Burton down to Fainu, which I don't hate. I'm just going to be running a very tight bank. But yeah, that's my one move. I've got to try and save some. I got 10 trades after that.
Nice, mate. Nice. Well done. You won't like not having much cash, eh? That burns you. I know that.
Well, last year I ended the season with 200k in the bank and no trades for like the last 6 weeks. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? Like, this sucks. Now I've got nothing in the bank, but I have just depth. Like I have, there's probably only one player in my entire team that I wouldn't want to play. Two, between Hubner and Jed Stewart, every single other player in this team is like a regular starter most of the time on rotation. So yeah, I just need to cut one of them, make some coin out of it, get ruthless at the back end. But I need to save the trade for it. VCs and Cs, what are we thinking, Joel?
Herbie
Go.
Herbie VC, Pappy C.
Herbie VC is so bloody good, isn't it? It's just been so reliable for the last month. Perhaps C against the Sharks, day game, Amy Park. Last time he did that, it was
Last
the
day
Tigers.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it could be a good game. She can't knock it at all. Hey, the captain ownership, I'll go through percentages after we've done ours, but they're really broken apart this week. There's no blowouts at all. It's going to be make or break week, and it's going to be decided on captaincy, unfortunately. So, what about you, Trav?
I'm VC, brought him in, and I'm currently got the C on Drinkwater.
Was Carraz your VC?
Yeah, VC, Carraz, C, Drinkwater.
Yeah.
Okay, Did I break out then?
Yeah, just when you went to say who it was, and I was like, I think that was Carraz.
So I've also contemplated the VC Kulamatangi. I think he might be a good play. I do like the VC Herbie as well. Yeah, I'm not 100% on Pappenhausen against the Sharks this weekend. I think the Sharks are going to really push us. So I'm going to steer clear of that one, but I don't mind it. But yeah, I am all about Drinkwater this week as a bit of a flyer against a leaky Titans defense with Clifford back. So it's a bit of a flyer. He's been poor, but I think that's coincided with who's been in the halves.
Yeah, I would say so. I think if it's a bounce back week for Drinky, it's definitely this one. I'm tossing up two, but I'm leaning more into this one that I actually got set up at the moment. It's a VC Carraz. He's a trade-in VC him, and Captain Lomax. I'm really happy with this one. I look at it and I'm like, God, it just makes so much sense. Feel good about it. So it'll either be that with the captaincy just locked in on Lomax, because I have the free loop and I'm thinking about some way to incorporate Lomax in, maybe VC Lomax C Drinkwater. And just sort of let it go and see what happens with Lomax and play it, a little safer, considering I do have the free loop option. But yeah, as far as it stands, I'm going the VC Carraz and the straight C on him. So try and make some ground if I can.
Solid as ever. I'm terrified about the Lomax play. Terrified.
Yeah, I hope it's as good as we think it is, to be fair. It'd be nice.
I feel like Gutho had the big score the first game they played. Now it's Lomax's turn. So,
well, he played them earlier in the year and got injured, I'm pretty sure. This was the game that he did his foot, and he was on 70. So, how many minutes did he play in that game?
He played the whole thing because he
played the whole game. But yeah, he played the whole game with a broken foot. So, 70 with a broken foot against your old club. Like, I'll take that. We got Gutho in for that matchup, and he got 130 points out of him. So, Yeah, fingers crossed. That's it. Sit B start.
Well done.
Who gets the
Um,
purple lights for
I'm reserving Carraz, kick out Tino Tarpany at the moment.
reserving
I've-
Carraz?
Yep.
Aren't you VCing Carraz?
Oh, yeah. Well, I just haven't moved it around. So actually,
Hang on, what?
I'm going to reserve Isako now that I've moved that around. I just haven't moved it around.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Asako, Metcalf, Hughes, and Tino, which I'm a bit reluctant about, to be fair. Tino's just been a little bit. But I won't be playing Hosking and Nikora.
Yeah, I'm on Tino, Preston, Hines, and Azarko, and I'm sitting out Hosking, Burton, Purdue, Stewart, and Hubner. Yeah, so there's a lot of players I've got, and thank God that like Tedesco is not available this week. Otherwise, I'd have even more of a headache. So, yeah, should be a good week. Fingers crossed. Kind of say that every week and almost get a little bit let down, but good luck.
Fingers crossed. Good luck to everyone out there. Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, all that sort of jazz. We will speak to you again next week. Good luck. Good luck to all. Ciao.
Gotcha.